when we were starting to finish up with Der Ostwind, it wasn't even finishing up. Like we were still working on it, and I was working with students, and so none of us had a very realistic grasp on like how long it would take and how much work it was. Like we were just like plowing through it, but we weren't like, okay, there's like 2 more weeks of work. Like we could never make that kind of, or 2 months or 2 years. I mean, it took us from the time I shot the live action elements to the time we were finished, it was 3 years. And so, and we just like kept plowing through it. Going to BYU, being so close to Sundance, it was like this big thing. There's not a big connection between BYU and Sundance. Like there isn't like a special BYU screenings of Sundance films or whatever that they do like with the high schools here. But yeah, they like I knew about it, and I knew like in Chris Gore's books, it was always like number 1 or number 2 on his list, and you know, we just knew that like in the United States, it was like the, you know, festival. In Chris Gore's book, I keep talking about it because that's like where I learned a lot about film festivals, and then also going to them. But you know, he talks about how like, okay, here's the top 10 film festivals. Always submit your films to these 10. Like, you can do all the other ones you want, but make sure you're hitting these 10, because these are the ones that are actually going to like mean something to people. You know, you like, yeah, you can get into the Phoenix Film Festival or the whatever, and it's cool, but they're not. They don't carry the weight that those other ones do, like Tribeca and, you know, Telluride and Sundance. So I guess I kind of knew that it was going to be a big thing, you know, to get in. We submitted Der Ostwind as a work in progress the year before, and it got rejected. And I'm actually like, what we submitted was just like, we had some shots done, but we had play blasts, which are just like really, really rudimentary, like placeholder, like things were kind of happening. Like the planes were there, but they weren't colored right, they weren't textured right, the animation wasn't quite right. Like, and so and I don't know, like in the past I think that really helped me, that I submitted a rough cut and then it got rejected, you know, and they said, hey, like submit this when it's done. And it's, I mean, submitting a rough cut, you only want to do that because the only reason you would ever do that is because you're trying to hit the deadline, right? But rough cuts are a huge liability to them, because if there was a chance that they, like, just let's say they accepted Der Ostwind, that means we would have like 3 months to finish the film. And in reality, that took us almost a complete another year to finish the film. But by the time it was done, it was like probably 10 months later. So we would have had to kill ourselves to get it. And what if we hadn't finished? Sundance now has, you know, they've just now programmed a film that's not finished, and suddenly there's going to be, you know, like it's a big problem. So I think film festivals really, like, they'll take a work in progress, but like maybe the work in progress needs to be like sweetening your sound, you know, or something very, very, something that you can finish in 2 weeks and not, you know, a huge thing. So once we finished it in July of 2006, and then I submitted it that week, whatever the deadline for Sundance was, like right around then. I submitted it then. I submitted it early. Like, I think I submitted the first day. I think that really is useful when you're submitting films, is to not, because all these programmers are sitting there going, okay, we're going to have, you know, X amount of films, and we have to watch every single one of them. Like, they promise you that they watch all of them. I don't know if every film festival does that, but Sundance is like, we promise you your film will be seen from beginning to end by someone, you know. And so they're sitting there and they open up the first day and they're like, okay. So they're not waiting for the last day to start, you know. So they're watching stuff from the first day, and they're like, and this is all speculation, but I think this is how it works. But they start seeing the good stuff, and they're like, I like that. And a film that could be just as good can come at the last second, but everyone's submitting at the last second. So suddenly, like, the first day they might have 20 films, and the second day they might have 25 films, and it just gets worse to the last day of the deadline. They're getting 500 films, and there might be a film that's just as good from the beginning and the end, but they're now watching 500 films and they're tired and they're, so I think it's always good to submit first day, let them have that film for as long as they want. And like really, once you see something you like, like when you look at like your takes on your film, like sometimes the first take, you like that take and you're like, I know they did better later, but like you always get kind of sold on the first thing. Like that's just human nature. So it's good to give your film a chance. So we submitted Duroswin early. Despite all that, though, it was a complete surprise when I got the call. Like I got a call, and I saw that it was an LA number, and so I was like, "Oh, I better get this," So I answered it, and it was Todd Luoto. I don't think he's there anymore. But he was like, hey, I just want to tell you, congratulations, we selected your film for Sundance. And I was like, I just could not believe it. So I couldn't believe it so much that like afterwards, I tried to sit there and I go, did he say the name of my film? Like, did he, like, was there, somehow by that night, I had convinced myself that they had called me by mistake. Like, oh, we thought you were the director of this film, not Duroswin. And because I just couldn't believe it. And I was just like really, it was just like, this is amazing. Like I can't get my head around just getting in. Like, you just submit because the book told me to submit and we like Sundance, but it was this huge thing that it took me a while to get my head around it. It was really fun. It was really great. It was a great day. One of the better days of my life.